What's happening, Lion Pride? Christopher James here with Be a Lion Outdoors. Today I'm going to show you a real easy way that you could take something that we have all around the house, some soda cans, and turn that into a critical life-saving tool that may just end up saving your life one of these days. This is Soda Can Stove, so let's cut to the intro and I'll show you how to do it. For this, you're obviously going to need 2 empty and clean soda cans, a tape measure, a Sharpie, a Leatherman or a knife or a pair of scissors, a lighter, and some rubbing alcohol. I'm using 91%. So first, what you're going to want to do is cut out the bottom part of one of these cans. You can do so by scoring it and creating an X, or you could just quite simply cut around the inner ring. So there's the X for method 1, and begin cutting out the triangles. Or my personal preference is to just go ahead and cut the inner ring, but whatever's easiest for you. Once that is done, you could take a file or a piece of sandpaper and begin filing down any burrs or other sharp edges on the inner ring. I find this is a lot easier when the can is still fairly intact. Next, take your tape measure and measure out about the size of this can that you want. I personally recommend approximately 1 inch from the bottom of the ring to where you want to cut. So I measured out 1 inch. And then made a mark with the Sharpie. Continue that mark all the way around, making sure it's 1 inch and even as best as you can. Take your second empty can, and this time you're going to want to cut it a little bit bigger. So I go about 1.25 inches. Make marks all the way around the bottom of the can. This next step is up to you, but I find just drawing a line around the can makes it easier when you're trying to cut them out. Now that that's complete, go ahead and cut on the line to release the bottom part of these cans. So we'll start with the 1 inch mark first. Next, we'll move on to the 1.25 inches. Now for this, I'm going to cut slightly above the line, and I will show you the reasons why later. Once you've cut out the bottoms of both cans, cut the sidewall off one of the cans and set it aside. We will come back to that. Go back to the 1.25 inches, and this is the reason why you cut a little bit higher up. You are now able to take your scissors or your knife and slowly start shaving down the tin until you hit the line itself. This is going to be the outer section of your stove, so you want to try and make sure that that is as accurate as possible. The inner section is not that big of a deal, as it will be hidden. Now that that's done, try and make sure that they're as flat as possible and still fit. Take your file and begin shaving down any burrs or anything along those lines in the inner ring, as well as on the outer sections of the can. Next, you're gonna cut in your stove vents. So what I'll do is I'll mark 4 holes with my Sharpie and then continue all the way around, evenly spaced out for 16 total holes. Take a push pin or a safety pin and begin slowly poking these holes through using your pin. Once those holes are marked, return back to the sidewall and just go ahead and cut out as straight as possible. Next, you're going to want to cut something a little bit bigger. So I go about 1.5 inches on the inner section. You want it a little bit bigger because this is what's going to go inside of the can itself, and you want to make sure that that creates a nice seal. Cut that section out. Now that that's out, you want to make sure that you check the fit. So fold that inner ring over itself and put it in the bottom of the stove's inner ring. Fitting everything up, and make a mark on both sides with your Sharpie. So we have it on the inner side there, take it out, and then mark the end on the outer. From there, find the middle section on both parts. So we have the middle there. And what you're going to do now is intersect a couple of these lines at a 90-degree angle. You will notice that these lines are opposite of one another. You will notice that these lines are opposite of one another. This is because we are now going to cut these lines to the halfway mark. You don't want to cut all the way through. Flip it over and cut to the halfway mark on the other side. This is going to cause the tin to be able to section in on itself and keep it nice and secure. Check the fit again, and then cut off any extra tin. Next, you want to create these little vents at the bottom. I cut 3 triangles at the bottom of this can. This is going to allow the alcohol to actually get into the outer section and allow it to actually get up to your stove vents. If you want, you can now take a full can, and it appears as though I got a type, and stretch out the bottom can. Do so by pushing in and slowly creating an outer angle. Check the fit, make sure everything's good, and start piecing your stove together. Like so. That is your stove, and you can now add your alcohol. So I'll show you how this works. I'm just going to pour a little splash of the alcohol on the inner part. Take your lighter, light it up, and there is your soda can stove. So let's boil some water. I have my camp cup here. I know it could go over fire, so we're going to go ahead with that. Make sure that whatever you choose to cook or boil in can be used over a flame or a heat source. I'll add about a cup of water to this cup, a little bit more alcohol to the stove, we'll light it up, let the fire establish itself a little bit, and put the cup over the flame. After a while, you'll start to see bubbles and steam forming, and your water will begin to boil. You could use this in any form of cooking, whatever you choose to do, and it will work quite well with minimal cost.